Welcome back to America Right Now. The nation's crime surge is on the minds of Americans all across the country as leftists in many cities continue to hamper policing efforts. But district attorneys play a very important role in keeping our streets safe. Unfortunately, the left is changing the way that many of those DAs handle their jobs, impacting policing and crime fighting. It's the topic of our Thin Blue Line segment this week. Let's bring in a veteran of both local and federal law enforcement, Lieutenant Stephen Rogers, to discuss.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. I appreciate you being here. Okay, we talk a lot about cops on this show and policing. We don't tend to talk a lot about district attorneys. I want to show you something out of the gentleman who is expected to be Manhattan's new district attorney. He has already said and told folks that he is going to stop prosecuting a whole host of crimes. And if you look at them, they're resisting arrest, trespassing, driving with a suspended license, fare evasion, and all traffic violations. And his goal, he says, is unless you kill somebody or it's a sexual assault, no incarceration is his goal. Talk to us about this trend that we're starting to see in these big cities and what you're seeing across the country.
Well, it's policies like this that will further endanger the lives of our law enforcement officers and our citizens who live and work in these cities. Look, some of what we just saw on that list are quality of life issues. Mayor Giuliani at the time in New York City when he was mayor went after quality of life issues, as did many mayors across the country. And you get at the little crimes that are being committed, well, those criminals are going to be put away and they're not going to be able to create more havoc in our cities. So the trend across the country has been what we have seen in Seattle, what we see in Chicago, and what we're now seeing in New York. As a result of policies like this that this individual is proposing, the bloodshed in Chicago is just catastrophic. Seattle was burned to the ground, and not literally, but certainly many buildings were burned, including a police precinct. Sure. And in New York City, there's people being shot down in the street in broad daylight. Right. Bad policies.
Yeah, you know, you bring up how it hurts the efforts of our police officers. Resisting arrest is now not going to be prosecuted. Isn't this going to endanger the lives of our cops? I mean, if you're a criminal, that you can run away, you can resist, you can maybe potentially even assault a police officer, and the district attorney isn't going to care. Doesn't this impact also, depolicing, recruitment, and retirements that we're seeing in these cities?
Well, yes. Look, recruitments are way down nationally. Retirements are way up. But the response of the police, believe me, is going to be don't engage. De-escalate by what? By going for cover, don't engage. No police officer should put his or her life on the line if the prosecutor is going to allow someone to assault them and that officer cannot defend himself or herself. So the people in this country are going to have to wake up and make changes. Some of those changes are making sure people like this DA never get put into office.
We know that George Soros and a lot of these Democrat donors, these leftist Democrat donors, have really targeted district attorneys' races. And they're races, frankly, that a lot of people very seldom pay attention to. They pay attention to their governor's race or a county executive's race or a state senate race. They don't tend to pay a lot of attention to DAs. Talk to the American people about the impact of that movement and that money that has gone into trying to elect these district attorneys and the importance of pushing back at the ballot box.
It's extremely important. Look, the police do their job. They go out and they make arrests. But it is the duty of a DA to prosecute these individuals for committing crimes. What we have seen is DAs become political activists, bail reform, civilian review boards, letting people go, believe me, released from police custody even before they get to police headquarters. So the way that it has to be done to turn the tide is for people to go to the polls, pay attention, research who these people are, where they're from, and then make a difference at the ballot box. But believe me, these crimes that are now being escalating are being now felt by Democrats who are conservatives in their own communities. So this is all going to backfire, unfortunately, as a result of an escalating crime rate. But you got to stand up and speak out and get to the polls.
You got to see who's funding those folks, who's contributing to their campaigns. And unfortunately, as you point out, Lieutenant, there is a huge human toll to what has gone on. Thank you so much for being with us today, Lieutenant Stephen Rogers.
Thank you.
Coming up, getting a